to it. So it's Socialism, the Real History from Plato to the Present, and the subtitle is How the Deep State Capitalizes on Crises to Consolidate Control. And so I'm just going to jump right in. So 380 BC, Plato, he's sort of the guy who originated socialism. He writes in passing of Atlantis, this highly structured civilization on an island that sinks in the sea. And whether it existed or not, there is an island in the Mediterranean, Santorini, that's what's left of a volcano. I actually went there in college, and it's a nice, pretty tourist place, but it would have sent a tsunami wiping out lots of civilizations. But Plato thought that Atlantis was the perfect structured society, and he considered democracy an unstructured society. Demos means people, crassy means rule, and the chief characteristic of a democracy is tolerance. Everybody tolerates each other. It's wonderful. And then they tolerate people that are a little bit off. Then they tolerate people that are a lot off, till finally they're tolerating lawlessness. And it turns into chaos, and then the people say, can't someone come along and fix this mess? And that's when some governor comes along and he says, I can fix it, I just need some emergency powers. So Plato says, last of all comes the tyrant. When he first appears above ground, he's a protector, he's full of smiles. I'm gonna take away your freedoms, but I'm doing this to protect you. And then he ends up getting some more power. If any are suspected of resistance to his authority, he will have a good pretext for destroying them. And then he says, the protector, now he's standing up in the chariot of state with the reins in his hands, a tyrant absolute. And he has a mob entirely at his disposal, and he's not restrained from shedding of blood, so he can destroy his political opponents. And anyway, Plato said democracy's doomed to fail because it's based on people having virtue, and if you give people a choice of giving up their life or giving up their virtue, they'll always give up their virtue to save their life. And I said, now ancient Israel's attempt to rule themselves without a king lasted a little longer because they had a big magnet in the sky called God, that they were virtuous because they were accountable to God. Athens didn't have that. By Plato's time, Athens had a bunch of fickle deities that nobody believed in anyway. Plato said if someone was born that truly had virtue, the world would crucify him. So he writes this, 380 BC. If a truly just man lived, let him die as he lived. I might add that the just man will be scourged, racked, bound, and will at last be crucified. So Plato said that this democracy is doomed to crash, and the best you can hope for is a nice tyrant. He called him a philosopher king. He's the head of gold, and his arms and chest are the administrators, and together they make up the ruling class, and everyone else is the abdomen of iron and bronze. They're the ruled class. So socialism is a structured society of a ruling class and a ruled class. The ruling class, they're above the law, they're politically connected, and they're supported by the commoners. The ruling class can do special things, like getting their hair styled when nobody else can. The ruled class, yes, they are all provided for, but no one owns any property. There's no families. The government decides who gets to have children, and the government takes the children away from the parents and brings them into the schools where they're socialized, which is a term to get them used to serving the ruling class. Plato says that when the true philosopher kings are born in a state, they will set in order their own city. They will take possession of the children, who will be unaffected by the habits of their parents. These they will train in their own habits and laws. And these children will be taught lies, noble lies. Plato said, we want one single grand lie which will be believed by everybody. So we got the people ruling themselves, but without virtue, it turns into chaos. Out of that chaos, you get a dictator. So we begin to see that there's a couple ways to take power away from the people. And so democracies and republics are forms of government that are called popular. Not popular because everybody, votes for them. No, popular means populace. So the people, the population rules themselves. So democracy is everybody has to be at every meeting every day to talk about every issue, very time consuming. And since you physically have to be there, they only could be as large as a city. So the Greeks had city-states. Rome was a republic. A republic is where you're in charge, but you're ruling through representatives. So you can take care of your family and farm. So republics could get bigger, but you're still in charge. So if democracies and republics have taken the power from the king, given it to the people, what if there's a king who wants to take it away from the people and reconcentrate it? So there's two ways to do this. One is fear, and the other is free stuff. So fear. People will trade freedom for security. if you get people into fear, they will give up their freedoms for the promise of security. The second is free stuff. Everybody likes free stuff, but then you get dependent on the free stuff.